In this video, we're going to be looking at one of the core foundations called Look at That. It is one of the more famous foundations that Leslie has put out in Control Unleashed. It is a lot of the groundwork for everything else that comes here thereafter. What we are doing is teaching the dog to look at something either neutral or arousing or fearful or whatever. And then we're going to click and they are going to turn their head back to us and we reinforce. So there's a little misconception here in some of the older training world or inexperienced trainers where they want, they're like, oh, the dog needs to look at the thing and then look back at you. But they don't tell you how to get the dog to look back at you. If the dog is so excited to see another dog, they are going to keep their attention on that dog. So what we have to do is start teaching the dog to disengage from the object. To do that, we are going to start clicking and treating the dog simply looking at the behavior rather than looking back at us. So some trainers are like, oh, you have to reinforce when they look at you. But if they never take their eyes off the dog, how are we ever supposed to reinforce them? So the first part of this game is teaching the dog, putting lots of money in the bank to disengage. They are understanding good things happen when I look away from this exciting thing. To teach this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start with a neutral object behind our back, and then we're going to bring it out and show it. When the dog looks at it, we click, and then we treat them as we remove the object. So the point of this is that the dog looks at the neutral object because we're presenting it. And then as we treat, they are going to look to us. So we're going to use a neutral object in the beginning. That way there's no arousal associations or fearful associations or reactivity associations. And it's just a normal object. And we're going to rinse and repeat this until you think the dog has it. After, 5, 6, 7 times, it's pretty easy to get the dog to do this because we're actively moving it back and forth behind our back. Once the dog gets this, we're simply going to put the object out all the time. And what we want is the dog to voluntarily look at it on their own. And when I say look at it, I want to make it a little clear that we don't need a hard head turn like that. If their eyes go, if their ear twitches, if their head tilts a tad bit, you mark and you reinforce that. And when we're reinforcing, it's always about the dog looking back at us. So they look at the neutral object on their own, we click, they look back at us. They look at the neutral object on their own, we click, they look back at us. And this is much like building muscle memory. We're teaching the dog that when they look at something, there is an association of positive things from us. So it's a predictor of good things. And what we're doing is we're going to start with a neutral object, but then we can put, an arousing object, such as a dog or a stuffed dog or a person or whatever the dog loves. And then we even work this up with reactive dogs, and we'll start at a long distance and they look at the thing that scares them and we click, they look back at us. Now, if the dog's not looking back at us, usually one of two things are happening. We're either way too close to the distractor, meaning if I'm really aroused when I see another dog and I look at that dog, but I can't take my eyes off of it, we're probably too close. Or a possibility that the treats you're using are not high enough value, meaning I'm not going to look away from this exciting dog for a piece of kibble. Give me a piece of cheese or something, give me something good. And the last stage of this exercise is the object's going to be out there neutral, and then we are going to start adding a cue. Where's that object? Dog looks, we click and treat. Where's the object? Dog looks, we click and treat. This is part of just trying to, instead of the dog getting caught by surprise of looking at it, if we see something enter the environment, we can very easily say, hey, Fido, where's the person? And they look and they find the person, we click and treat, and they disengage. So instead of that person, without us doing that, the person might end up, 50 feet closer to us, and the dog might be super aroused or super fearful or super whatever their emotional response is. All right. Have fun.
some of the little ones tug on my heartstrings.
Nana, move. Go. Go, 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 go.
Where's the bottle?
Yeah, it's because in the morning I haven't been doing for as much, and he's at a no load too, so I'll get him some.
Where's the bottle? 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 Good girl.